On the morning of January 13, 2022, in the town of Wahu, Hawaii, Lily Tokuhara went to her son's acupuncture clinic after not hearing from him all night. As she entered through the back door, she was shocked by a horrifying sight. Jon Tokuhara, 47 years old, lay on the ground in a pool of blood. In a state of panic, she called for an ambulance, but it was too late. Police quickly arrived at the scene and realized this was no ordinary robbery. $4,000 in cash remained on the table, ruling out theft as a motive. On the ground, they found 3.22 caliber shell casings, a clear sign of a targeted killing. More importantly, nearby surveillance footage captured an unknown individual entering the clinic and leaving in a hurry just 48 seconds later. Abandoning a hat on the street, a respected man, a dedicated doctor, a brutal death, who had a reason to kill Jon Tokuhara? As the investigation unfolded, police uncovered a secret relationship and a troubled marriage, leading to an unexpected tragedy. To understand this mysterious murder, we must go back to the life of Jon Tokuhara, a dedicated acupuncturist who spent nearly 20 years caring for the health of the Wahu, Hawaii community. Born and raised in a loving family, Jon never married but remained close to his mother, Lily, and his nephews. A lover of the ocean, he spent his free time fishing and surfing. To his friends and patients, Jon was gentle, thoughtful, and deeply committed to his work. No one could have imagined that one day, he would be brutally murdered in his own clinic, but after Jon's death, a hidden secret came to light, a romantic affair with a married woman. That woman was Joyce Thompson, the wife of Eric Thompson, a successful construction businessman. Joyce and Eric met in high school and had what seemed like a perfect marriage. They had a 3-year-old daughter, lived in a nearly $2 million home, and had shared many important milestones in life. But behind that happy image, Joyce maintained a secret relationship with her acupuncturist. Their relationship began through acupuncture treatments. Initially, Joyce sought treatment for back pain and fertility support after suffering a miscarriage. She and her husband were struggling to conceive again. Jon successfully helped Joyce get pregnant, but even after she gave birth, she continued her visits to his clinic. Over time, their doctor-patient relationship evolved into something more. They became lovers. For over a year, Joyce and Jon exchanged thousands of messages, including intimate texts, photos, and private videos. Jon was the one who was more emotionally invested. He was the first to say, "I love you," and frequently expressed his desire to take their relationship further. But Joyce never intended to leave her husband. In July 2021, their secret was exposed. Eric Thompson discovered that his wife had snuck out of the house at 1 a.m., which was caught on their home security camera. When confronted, Joyce admitted to the affair with Jon. Eric not only forced her to cut off all contact with Jon but also made her confess everything to her parents. He decided to forgive her and try to repair their marriage. But did he truly move on? 7 months later, in January 2022, Jon Tokuhara was murdered. Police began to wonder, was Jon's death connected to the affair? Had Eric Thompson, a betrayed husband, a father trying to protect his family, taken matters into his own hands? As the investigation began, the mystery only deepened. On the morning of January 13, 2022, after receiving a call from the victim's mother, Honolulu police quickly arrived at Tokuhara Acupuncture and Healthcare Clinic. The crime scene pointed to a targeted assassination. Jon Tokuhara had been shot 4 times in the head, a fatal wound. Meanwhile, $4,000 in cash remained untouched on his desk, ruling out robbery as a motive. Surveillance footage from nearby stores captured an unusual scene. At approximately 6:16 p.m. on January 12, 2022, a masked man wearing a bucket hat, sunglasses, and a scarf entered Jon's clinic. Just 48 seconds later, the man hurriedly left. This suggested that the assailant had planned the attack in advance and acted with precision. The suspect left no direct clues, until a hat was found on the street. A homeless man had picked it up, and later, police retrieved it for DNA testing. However, the killer's identity remained a mystery. When police examined John's phone, they found that earlier that afternoon, he had opened Pokémon Go on his Wi-Fi-only device as he usually did. Shortly after, security cameras recorded a white Chevrolet Silverado near his clinic. Before losing contact, John had sent a final message to his mother, but after that, his phone showed no further activity. Hours later, his Wi-Fi phone powered off due to a dead battery, indicating he had likely been killed much earlier, using security footage from nearby streets. Police tracked a white Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck that was seen near the clinic at the time of the murder. After reviewing 53 registered Silverados in Hawaii, only one vehicle could not be ruled out, a truck owned by Eric Thompson, Joyce Thompson's husband. That evening, police closely followed Thompson's movements using residential security cameras. He was seen leaving his home in his Chevrolet Silverado, and less than 40 minutes later, a similar truck appeared near Jon Tokuhara's clinic. About an hour later, Eric returned home, but something unusual happened. A neighbor's camera recorded flames in his backyard, suggesting something was being burned. That night, Eric left his house again, but this time, a toolbox appeared in his truck bed, which had not been there earlier. Eric's suspicious actions led police to believe that he burned evidence in his backyard, possibly clothing or other items related to the murder. When police searched Eric's home, they found 14 firearms, including 2 unregistered guns, as well as over 1,000 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition, the same type used at the crime scene. Although the murder weapon was never found, the circumstantial evidence continued to mount, leading investigators to strongly believe that Eric Thompson was involved in Jon Tokuhara's death. As police began piecing together the evidence surrounding Jon Tokuhara's murder, suspicion quickly fell on Eric Thompson, the husband of Joyce Thompson, who had secretly been involved with the victim. Although no direct witnesses saw the murder, a series of circumstantial clues started to pile up, painting a picture of a carefully planned crime. One of the most critical pieces of evidence was the white Chevrolet Silverado, captured on surveillance near John's clinic at the time of the murder. After searching 53 identical Silverado trucks in Hawaii, police determined that only one vehicle could not be ruled out, a truck owned by Eric Thompson. This made him the prime suspect. When police searched Eric's home, they discovered 14 firearms, including 2 unregistered guns, as well as over 1,000 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition, the same type of bullets found at the crime scene. However, despite the large collection of weapons, police did not find the murder weapon, making it harder to establish direct evidence. Additionally, the bucket hat left behind on the street by the killer became a significant piece of evidence. DNA testing on the inner lining of the hat revealed that Eric Thompson could not be excluded as a DNA contributor. While this was not conclusive proof, it further strengthened suspicions about his involvement. Beyond physical evidence, police also closely analyzed Eric's behavior on the night of the crime. According to residential security cameras, Eric left his home that afternoon and returned after the murder. About an hour after he got back, a small fire broke out in his backyard, raising suspicions that he may have burned evidence, possibly clothing or items linked to the crime. When searching the yard, police found a bucket and a wheelbarrow with burn marks, but they could not determine exactly what had been burned. Another suspicious detail was that Eric left his house a second time that night. This time, a toolbox appeared in his truck bed, an item that had not been there earlier. This led investigators to theorize that Eric may have transported or disposed of additional evidence. Although all these findings were not enough to establish direct guilt, they formed a logical sequence of events showing that Eric had a clear motive, the opportunity to commit the crime, and suspicious behavior afterward. With all clues pointing to one person, police believed they had found their killer. On February 14, 2022, Eric Thompson was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. But was this enough to convict him in court? Or was it just a collection of circumstantial evidence that would fail to convince a jury? On February 14, 2022, Eric Thompson was officially arrested and charged with second-degree murder and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He was released on bail for $1 million and was set to stand trial. Prosecutors believed they had enough evidence to convict him. During the trial in July 2023, the prosecution focused on Eric's motive, arguing that the murder was driven by personal hatred. They portrayed Eric as an ambitious, controlling man who could not tolerate infidelity. When he discovered Joyce's affair with John, he forced her to confess to her parents, sign a postnuptial agreement, and attempted to control every aspect of her life. Prosecutors also described the murder as cold and calculated, 4 gunshots to the victim's head in under 48 seconds. They argued that Eric had meticulously planned the crime scene, from using a Silverado truck to approach the clinic, concealing his identity with a hat and scarf, to later burning evidence in his backyard. DNA found on the bucket hat, although not conclusive, further reinforced suspicion that he was the killer. However, the defense quickly countered these claims, pointing out flaws in the investigation. They argued that there was no direct evidence proving Eric was at the crime scene and that police had relied solely on circumstantial evidence to charge him. They also emphasized that Jon Tokuhara's affair with Joyce was not an isolated case. He had been involved with several other married women, including at least 2 other men who had similar motives for revenge. One of these men had even divorced his wife after discovering her affair with John. Yet, police did not investigate any other potential suspects, choosing instead to focus solely on Eric from the beginning. Additionally, the defense questioned the timeline. If Eric only had 48 seconds inside the clinic to shoot John 4 times in the head, was that enough time to execute the murder without error? They also pointed out that Pokémon Go remained active on John's phone for 2 hours after he was presumed dead, raising doubts about whether the murder actually occurred when police claimed it did. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict. 9 jurors voted guilty, while 3 believed Eric was innocent. In the end, the judge declared a mistrial. The death of Jon Tokuhara triggered a long and complex investigation. Eric Thompson quickly became a suspect because he had a clear motive. He had discovered that his wife, Joyce Thompson, was having an affair with John. A few months after the affair was exposed, John was murdered in his clinic. But was that enough to prove Eric was the killer? Police believed they had sufficient evidence. A white Chevrolet Silverado, identical to Eric's, was seen near the clinic at the time of the murder. Neighborhood security cameras showed Eric leaving home just before the murder and returning immediately after. After he got back, a small fire broke out in his backyard, leading police to suspect he burned evidence. The bucket hat left on the street by the killer also contained Eric's DNA, although the results were not strong enough to be conclusive. But when the case went to trial, many unanswered questions remained. No witnesses saw Eric at the clinic that night. The gun used in the murder was never found, despite police seizing multiple firearms from his home. No video footage captured Eric entering or leaving the crime scene. The DNA evidence on the hat was also inconclusive. Jon Tokuhara's relationship with Joyce was not his only affair. He had been involved with several married women, including at least 2 other men who could have had a motive to kill him. One of them divorced his wife after discovering her affair with John, but police did not expand the investigation to consider other suspects. So why was Eric Thompson singled out? In court, prosecutors focused on Eric's motive, arguing that the murder was intentional. They emphasized that 4 gunshots to the head indicated a personal crime of hatred. They also claimed that Eric was a controlling man who could not accept betrayal, and that the murder was his way of eliminating a threat to his family. But the defense strongly countered these claims. They pointed out flaws in the investigation, such as the missing murder weapon, Jon's Pokemon Go data remaining active after he was presumed dead, and the possibility of other suspects. They argued that police had focused too much on Eric without fully considering other possible explanations. The Jon Tokuhara case began as a straightforward investigation. A man was murdered, a suspect had a clear motive, and circumstantial evidence linked Eric Thompson to Jon's death. But once the case went to trial, it quickly became a test of the justice system, where suspicion alone was not enough to convict a man. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury failed to reach a unanimous decision. 9 jurors believed Eric was guilty, while 3 disagreed. The judge declared a mistrial, and Eric remained a free man. The case remains unresolved. If prosecutors find additional evidence, Eric could face a retrial. But if not, the case may remain unsolved forever, and the murder of Jon Tokuhara will remain a mystery with no clear answers.